Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. Today is another day of Adventures in Lestoria RPG game development. We're developing an RPG game using the OLC Pixel game engine. And today we are actually working on a couple of bug fixes. And we are going to work on more monster AIs to continue Chapter 4. Now before I started the stream, I spent a little bit of time actually writing down some notes. So one thing I like to do is right after I finish streaming, I like to review the footage. I want to review what I coded, how I coded it, and see if there's anything I could have done to improve, or maybe I just spot little things that I'm like, oh, that makes more sense now that I'm like spectating myself code it versus when I was in the moment and actually writing the code. It's a slightly different experience, right? And sometimes you catch things as an observer that you don't catch in the middle of your like programming sessions. So I wrote down some notes here, and we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup work plus a little more bug fixes. To give some context, yesterday we found some bugs while navigating the Overworld map. So I went ahead and we fixed one of them, but another one, and that still exists, is when we press the up analog stick on a controller, it actually just keeps navigating up, 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 as high as it can in one go, in one frame. And that's a problem, so we're going to be looking into that today. But I wrote some notes here of other things that I either forgot to do or wanted to do. So first, we're going to make sure unlock checkpoints are still good. I think I left the if statements in for unlocked checkpoints, so we're just going to verify that real quick. I'm going to head over to the state overworld map. This is the code we modified yesterday for the bug fix. We're actually still in the connection point fixes branch, so if we have to make any more modifications to the connection points, this is where we would do it. Additionally, I haven't merged what I've done yesterday into master yet, so we will get to that and we should be good. So here we go. We're checking if the checkpoints we iterate through for when we click with the mouse are unlocked before we navigate to them, and when we're checking for our neighbors, we're making sure that the neighbors are also unlocked. Now, what's interesting is that unlock condition uses neighbor, which is a little different from just up here where we just say is unlocked with a connection point reference. I just find it interesting that we use two different things. This looks like a static method. Yay! Hi, Plasticky! Oopie! Welcome to the stream! It's great to see you. Aww. What a cutie. I hear the overlay, but I don't see the overlay. It must have messed up. Hello? Reset window? Let me see. It's still there. Okay, I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully it works. But yes, hello! Welcome! So I just find it funny that I use two different things here. It looks like it's an alias for it. We actually have two different ways to check if things are unlocked, but they both result in the same outcome. Isn't that weird? That's kind of weird, but okay. We'll go with that. So, that's good. No problems there. Mouse usage on Overworld map might be screwed up with other menus open. So I noticed yesterday there was a condition here that said, is mouse used? And one piece of that was, if we have another menu open and we click around, are we able to actually navigate around the overworld map with other menus opened, like the pause menu? Or like even if you're on like the equip menu or the options menu or something and you're clicking around, you might click on an overworld map stage plate, which then makes it so you just jump to those places while you're trying to navigate other menus with the mouse. So we're gonna check if that's still the case or not. I'm still in debug. It makes the game run very slow, but it lets us check for specific variables and such, so I'm just gonna leave it like that, at least for a little longer. We'll go back to release mode so the game's not as laggy pretty soon. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Let's go over here, and I'm gonna click around here. Aha! So, I'm clicking like outside of this region, and you can see I'm able to click. So obviously it's off screen, at least it looks off screen, but we can click there. Now watch this. Well, if I click here, we can see I can mouse over these, and when I click one and resume, okay, so that doesn't happen. I don't want this hovering behavior though. So this is a separate thing. What I was worried about was if I was in like this state and I clicked here, was that going to make it so I navigated to there? It looks like it doesn't, so that's a good thing. But I don't like that when I click outside here, it counts as clicking it, because we clearly can't see it, so I don't really want it to use that. So in that sense, I do want to fix this. So let's start there. The hovering thing might not be as hard to figure out. Let's take a look. Okay, so we have an overlaps, and not menu is mouse over menu, and game is mouse inside window. So we would have to add another check that sees if the mouse cursor is not in like another part of the view. So the way this currently works is we're drawing another like component, another window, if you will, on the side of the screen, and then we're just overlaying it on top of the world map. So we need to find where we draw that. I think that's... I don't think it's draw overlay, but it's something like that that would... Let's see. Render world, that's the map, and then somewhere we draw the menu, or maybe the menu drawing is handled elsewhere, and that would mean, we would have to see if the mouse is on any menu component. It can be anything. The only concern is that I need to know if we even have a way to detect that that's actually happening right now. So here, I got overworld map level window, overworld menu window. Let's take a look. This is chapter label, stage label, encounters. Okay, so this right here is the window for that displays on that overworld map. This is the actual place it occurs. So we would have to know if the mouse cursor is over any of these components here. How would we do that? I figure one way is we could iterate through all the components, and if the mouse is in the bounds of any of these components, then we know for sure we're interacting with that. So that's a possibility. We could also just look at menu component real quick. Let's just take a look at the header, and let's see if there's any function that might help us out here. Specifically, public functions. So if we look here again, the level select window has a certain size, right? And we can see here as a position. when we create the menu, we specify a position, which is this first vector, and then the size, which was calculated up here. And you notice we just use some math to determine, okay, 1/3 of the screen minus 24 for the bounds. And so what this does is makes it so it's just on that right-hand side, because we are positioning it from the edge of the screen, subtracting 1/3 of the screen. So this makes sense. We just don't have a way to detect that right now, but I guess we have to look at menu for that. And we probably can just grab the size and position and take a look at that. Or we can add a function in menu that just says, is mouse inside window? Oh, here we go. Is mouse over menu. Returns whether the mouse is hovering over any portion of the menu. Thus can be used if a menu is not supposed to cover up everything to determine mouse interactions. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. At least if it works the way I think it does. It's a static function. So we see it has an overlap based on whatever menu is currently at the top versus the position of that menu and the size. I think this is perfect. This does exactly what we want. So let's try it out. It is a static function, so it uses whatever menu is currently open. Let's go back to here, and we're going to say, only do that highlighting bit if we are moused over that section. And clicking. Both clicking and the mouse over. Although the mouse over part should only happen when we have this menu open only. Hi Blah, welcome. Good to see you. We're doing some epic programming today. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well also. Okay, so let's not navigate with the mouse if the mouse cursor is not within that region. So we're just gonna add here and not menu is mouse over menu. That should fix that. I'm gonna switch back to, no, let's stay in debug mode. I have a feeling we're gonna need debug for a few more things. Here existing? Well, that's cute. I see you don't have the Smaha Comf emote anymore. I don't think I do either. It appears I do not. Oh, I see. So you've kind of been gone from Twitch. That's fair. Very, very fair. I mean, I've been gone too, so we're both in the same boat here. But yeah, I hope things have been well for you. Haven't talked to you in a little while. Alright, so now I can try the same thing. I can click over here and nothing happens. I can click here and we're fine. So clearly that code did work and is doing what it's supposed to do. We can't click anything that's outside there. Now, can we hover over stuff outside? It looks like we cannot. That's also good. We can still hover stuff when the menu's open like this. Maybe we should fix that. I guess we could. The question is, how do we detect that? So when we start, we have one menu, so to speak, open. I guess we're looking to see if there's more menus on the stack. If more than one menu's on the stack, we know there's other stuff open on top of the overworld map. We shouldn't be clicking around and setting the connection points to different targets. So if I go back to draw, highlighted a stage, it gets set to true when these conditions are met. But we only want to do this when the menu stack is 1. So let's check that early. This is like a very early condition to check for. So we can even check it outside of the for loop before we even enter to say, hey, do we even have enough menu stuff? Menu, I'm looking for size. No, not that kind of size. I'm looking for the stack. Can I just type stack? Okay, I can. And it's static. Okay, so I'm looking if the menu stack's size is equal to 1. Because if it's equal to 1, it means there's only the main overlay present. And if so, then highlighted a stage could potentially change. Oh, you got it again. Nice. Very cool. But yeah, it's good to see you. So we'll test that out now. And if that works, then I'm happy to do another commit. And then we're going to look at a few more miscellaneous things that I meant to do. I said I was going to do, and I just get sidetracked or find another bug. All sorts of fun stuff. Today's going to be a slightly shorter coding stream. I started a little late, but that's okay. Ooh. You hate how I format my code. Oh, yeah. A lot of people hate it because I don't press the spacebar. And I also have most, if not all, auto formatting off. So most of the time, if I don't type it, then it's not gonna look pretty. Or I should say, since I have to type everything, it's not gonna be auto-formatted all pretty, so. Yes, a lot of people... Okay, so the highlighting target is gone when other menus are in play. Okay, so that's that. And I've even recently started doing... I found this out by accident, but I'm like, I'm totally on board with this. I recently found out even this is valid code, and I'm like, let's go even more, even less space typing. I'm sure people hate that. I'm like, oh god, I hate it. It's cursed. Mostly because I want to see as much code as possible. So I actually have 3 ultra wide screens. So when I'm looking at code, I have a lot of room to see what I'm doing. But I still type very long lines of code, so it still goes off screen. So if I don't type spaces, that's the possibility to see the most amount of code. I try to keep the font size kind of big because I stream, and it would be nice if others saw at least what I could type. Like, I could do this, but then it's a lot harder to even see what the heck I'm doing. So this is kind of like a middle compromise. It's like a middle ground. I guess, like, the irony is I wanted to be readable to viewers, but the code is not actually as readable as it could be because it's not pretty. So I don't know. That's just how I code also. Like, this is the way I prefer it. I think I hate auto-formatting because it just... Sometimes I don't want it to indent, sometimes I want it to indent, and there are a lot of, like, rules to play with. Like, Visual Studio lets you customize it a lot. I could be like, okay, I want it to do spaces here, but I don't want, like, leading or trailing spaces. Like, you can make it do this, you can make it do this, you can have it on new line. You can, like, set all this up to do it how you want, but I found that as I typed more and more code, I was like, I really just don't want to keep hitting the spacebar a billion times, and I don't want to... I guess the best way to put it is I don't want to rely on the behaviors of an auto formatter when I'm not sure if I'm going to have the same rules when I go to another computer. I hate it when I go to another computer and all of a sudden I start typing, like for example when I'm in VS Code. Where's my VS Code right now? If I start typing stuff in here and then I'm like, oh, now it auto indents differently, or it uses spaces instead of tabs, and then I'm just confused again. If I turn all auto formatting off and everything, then I am completely in control of the format in any editor. So I guess that's kind of like my philosophy was I've always wanted to be in control of exactly how much spacing and formatting there was. And if it always looks the same when I type it, then I am technically the auto formatter. So there is that. I'm just trying to find a way to defend myself because I'm like, that is an interesting question, right? Why do we code the way we do? I also like to do this a lot, which also can get a little tricky, but internally I've learned to program that way. I mean, that's very fair. If I have to actually, if this code wasn't just me, like if this project wasn't mine, then I would definitely spend more time tidying up the code or using an auto formatter for the sake of other people. Like, you have to compromise at that point. I think for a personal project, you can kind of do what you want. And yes, I am the only person that works on this code base, so I'm going to use the code format that I enjoy. Although my game is open source, so others can look at it, I'm not going to cater it to the world, I guess is the way to put it. But I don't mind sharing the code or showing the code, because I think showing the process of programming is the more important part, right? At least that's the idea. There's a lot of arguments to be had about this, and we can go on and on, of course. Yeah, so I have, well, back there is the DDR setup, the ITG setup, so that's where we go to play our step games. You can kind of see it if I back up here. See little bars, and then the pads are on the floor there. No, I'm a hobbyist programmer. I just code. I just enjoy coding. It's a lot of fun. I know a lot about programming because I've done it for so long, but I've never done it in a professional environment. I've taken a few courses and internships just for funsies, or I was given the opportunity to. So I've learned a little bit in terms of like how dev pipelines worked. I've worked with other people, like I've done pair programming, I've done like agile development, I've done like, obviously I use Git even in my personal projects and all that, and I spent a lot of time on web dev, because web dev, a lot of people that become full stack developers do, full stack developers are very much needed, so, or gives you a lot of potential to get hired. Blah. You end up not stepping too much, huh? That's very fair. If you are going to work on a code base professionally a lot, you probably just inherit those design decisions and choices yourself, not only to get used to it, but probably it's a good idea too if you're just used to it that way. And trust me, I don't disagree that my code is unreadable. I understand it is. It's a very deliberate decision. And when I first started writing C++, of course, it was very much... it was a lot prettier, I should say. As I learned the language more, I learned the tricks and stuff that I liked, and I've stuck with that. So, on one hand, I kind of preach the whole make sure your code is readable in the future so that when you come back to your code in a year, you can read it. At the same time, the actual formatting is not very readable on my end, so... oh well. There's a lot to be said about this. So, this is good now. We fixed this. I actually want to do a commit real quick. I don't think that's quite how physical rhythm game works. Because you can actually transfer a lot of skills from other physical rhythm games between each other, but you can't really translate the physical aspect of it when it, like, backwards. Like, you need... The physical aspect is really just the hardest part of a game like Dance Dance Revolution or ITG, is that you really have to condition your body. Your body is part of the thing that holds you back from being able to progress in the game. Which is a good motivation to stay active and be fit. So I think it works great. So what did we fix? Highlighting stage plates no longer occurs outside of the overworld menu, overworld map. And clicking outside the map display view no longer transports the player to another stage plate. This actually might be a good commit for the demo as well. So what I might do is... First of all, this branch isn't really relevant anymore. Well, I guess it's still connection point fixes. How about this? Let's commit this. Release version, release build. 12298. And I'm going to cherry pick this particular commit. That's fine. Yeah. I'm going to cherry pick this particular commit into the demo branch, which I think should be fine. So we're gonna go to the demo branch. I'm going to this to do. I just deleted some stuff from it. I'm just gonna bring it with me. And in the demo branch, let's see, merge conflict. That's fine. Let's keep. We should be okay. And that's a merge. Merge with a stashed change or transferred change. From, what is it? Connection point fixes? I can't type. I think I just made it all one word. Connection point fixes, yes. Branch. There's also a 6 in there. Okay. Alright, so anyways, we're going to cherry pick that one commit. Let's go to Manage Branches. We're going to go to Connection Point Fixes. We're going to take... Well, what happened? That's a lot of merging? Highlighting no longer... Okay. Merge pull request... Where did all this happen? Just now? Merge pull request Skeleton Barbarian into Master. Merge branch... Oh, this looks like a fast forward. Merge branch connection point fixes... into connection point fixes. Okay, so it looks like this was just catching up. This was like housekeeping, I guess. I only want this commit, so I'm going to cherry pick it. And that should be fine. So we got some conflicts. That's pretty natural. So the changes should have only been what I did here. So we had these changes. Yeah, I removed the go to because I really didn't like how I did the go to. So we're now keeping... There should be another condition here. Menu is over mouse. Yeah, so we want to take the source. I think we want everything from source. Like, nothing here should be bad code from the looks of it. Yeah. We're just replacing all that. Any more conflicts? That's all of those. Okay. So we will accept that. These two, on the other hand... Oh wow, this is old. This is very old. Okay, anyways, we're taking the incoming, of course. Wait, there's no conflicts here. 10 auto merge, that's fine. Wait, is that fine? No. We're not gonna auto merge that one. So take the incoming and version we're going to keep current. Because we'll rebuild and that'll just be on an older release version. So everything should be good now. I'm just gonna make sure the game builds. The demo builds. Because that's always important. And in the meantime... let's do our pull request merge. So right here, we had this bug from last night. We have a pull request from it. I did make a couple more fixes on connection point fixes. It's just doing them script and build check. Once that succeeds, we can do our merge commit, and I am confident that we are done fixing issue 101, and we can look at issue 102. So once that builds, it will merge. So issue 102. Pressing up on the analog stick continues to go up on the overworld map. Oh, we have a fail. Why did we fail? Why are we not able to open source file discord.h? This sounds to me like something's wrong with the project settings. Why is there something wrong with this? Oh, we haven't rebuilt the demo since I moved everything to the dev drive. Shoot. Okay, so when I redid everything for the dev drive, I also changed all the paths. So I kind of need to do that again. I guess I need to write all this down. Okay, we'll come back. I will stash for now. Yeah, we need to come back. Shoot, I didn't even think about that. So let's go back to connection point fixes. And we'll just grab... okay, so we'll come back and do this. We'll abort this cherry pick. Yeah, we have to come back. And we're gonna discard changes. So I basically didn't do anything with that. Back over here. That's dangerous. Why did this change? I think my key file, the key header got reverted. I need to check this off screen real quick. Oh. Okay, that's fine. For some reason... the copyright line got reverted. Okay. I just had to make sure because the key is actually sensitive information. Okay. So I just had to make sure nothing was wrong with that. For some reason there was a undo to the file. Probably just from it trying to force checkout back to this while other stuff was in the middle of being checked out. I don't know, it was weird. But yeah, what was I gonna do? Oh, okay, we're gonna get the new project settings real quick so I can apply it to the demo build so I can build the demo again in the future. So yeah, all this changed. In fact, I'm going to remove old stuff as well. So we changed this. So we use some relative paths now, which makes it so we're not hard coding the paths we actually need anymore, which is smart because if in the future we load up this project on another computer, as long as everything is stashed in the correct directories, it will just work. So yeah, like these are hard-coded and these are not needed anymore. So it's just these two, and we can see they're auto-populated, auto-evaluated. So I'm going to write these down somewhere, or maybe I'll screenshot them. I guess screenshot is fine. I guess I could actually copy-paste these. I'm just like, I need to put these somewhere, please. So those are include directories. And then we have include directories. We have this. And then we have, let's go to linker, output file, input. We have these libraries. Are any of them debug libraries? No. Okay. This shouldn't change. I believe this is probably already on the other side as well. That should be all the settings we need to get the project to build normally. Okay. Cool. I'm just gonna commit this real quick. I really should commit this somewhere else I'm gonna be working. So the next thing I'm gonna be working on is implementing the red flashing effect when a monster gets a hasten buff. This, okay, so I was thinking more about this. The 0 here, I think, is always invalid. So here's my theory. I'll just explain this real quick. Yesterday I was talking about how I was trying to wrap my head around how this worked. Like, okay, let's say we had something set here, like we had it pointing to somewhere, and then we deleted it. I said that tiled says it's unset, but really it creates a value in the file. Now, if we go to the worldmap.tmx file and I go to stage 1-1, we can see here that it has created a connection 1 north with a value of 0, even though in the editor it says that it's unset. Now this is technically not a problem because there will never be an ID that is 0, in theory, right? So this is what I want to test. Is it possible if we make a new map and we add an object to it, what ID does that have, right? Wait, this is a tile layer. Let me make an object layer, and let's do this. What ID does this have? It starts at 1. So an ID of 0 just means it's invalid. It's trashed data. So if we ever read an ID of 0, then we know tiled says, hey, this is bad data, even though in the file it says it has a value, it doesn't mean anything. So we are supposed to just discard zeros. And because I made a custom parser, I have to manually handle that. So it's good to know that that's the case. So now, knowing that, we can make our fix. So 0 is always invalid. This was just something going on in my head yesterday when I was rewatching my footage about, okay, how does this actually work, right? And then we got the mana icon pixel snapping. That's just the graphic. Doesn't really have like pixel snaps. So let's say you go from having 92% mana, like total mana, to 93.6%. The image will be scaled with that like decimal value accounted for, and it looks really weird. It makes all the pixels like jitter and stuff. The way I fixed this with the heart or the health is it just snaps in specific intervals. I think it's like 10% or 5% intervals. I need to do the same for the mana because it just looks weird when you're playing and the mana icon is doing this with the pixels. So I just wanted to fix that as well. I think I'm going to make a new branch for all of these fixes at the same time. I'm just going to call it miscellaneous fixes. And let me add those there. Okay. We're going to bring all these changes to a new branch. Call it miscellaneous fixes. That's Korean. Hello, Korean. We don't need Korean right now. Okay. Let's bring the changes. And let's start by committing this. All we did was update or remove invalid include directories. External include directories. From project settings. Okay. So, since 0 is always invalid, let's go to our TMX parser. We were working on this yesterday to make fixes here, and instead of this being like this, we're just going to ignore it completely if it's a 0. So all we have to do, if value is equal to 0, well, okay. I mean, it's already there, so we kind of fixed it. Let me think. Yeah, this essentially did that. But it's not like a warning anymore. It's more like it's just actually invalid. So our comment currently says prevents accidental connections to index 0. It's more like a value of 0 indicates it is unset in the editor in tiled. So I'm just leaving that comment there. So we know if we look at the code later why we did that. Oh wait, I need to bring this with me. So that's done for our to-do. Next we have the red flashing entity when they have a hasten buff. So we're gonna go to... we'll do this for player as well. If I go to monster.cpp, we should be able to find the render function. It's either render or draw. Looks like draw. And this is all the code needed to determine how to draw a monster. So we already have a bunch of buffs that affect how the sprite flashes over time. We're just going to add to that a red color. And we can make it like the Curse of Death here. The Curse of Death makes it red. I wonder if I should make it red as well. I think that's fine. Maybe a dark red instead of this like pure red. I think that would be fine. Just to avoid any confusion, we could also make it just oscillate a lot faster. And what takes precedence? I think debuffs take precedence over buffs. So we're going to put it pretty far down here on this if-else block. and we're gonna make it oscillate at a pretty fast rate, maybe like 0.4 seconds. So about 2 pulses, 2 cycles every second. We'll say, let's try 128 instead of 255 for the red. And we have to change the buff type in the if statement up here. And that should make it so any monsters that have the hasten buff now will pulse red as well. And then we just have to fix the mana icon pixel snapping, which is done in the UI. So for the UI, I think the main HUD is rendered in the main Adventures in Lestoria CPP file under render HUD. So we will go there, render HUD, and we're specifically looking at the mana counter. So the mana counter should have a draw function somewhere where it actually gets rendered. So here's the mana ratio, and we can see the health ratio is also here. So if we look, it appears that we do some math. Let's see here. So draw partial decal. The scale is the second to last argument, although they're optional. So it would be the first optional argument. So is this right here? We have 1 argument, 2, 3, 4 arguments. So that is the source size. So the scale isn't affected here. So the heart must be displayed below this. Or no, the heart outline is just, yeah, the heart outline should be displayed first. No, second, and the heart itself is up here somewhere. Does that make sense? Because we have draw decal, which is heart outline. Which is drawn, should be drawn after, so it would be above the actual heart. So the heart must be somewhere up here. Render cooldowns. That's weird, right? Let's see. Heart.png. Here's a heart image. It gets called in draw partial decal, and this should be how it cuts. Oh, okay, source size. So we don't scale the image, we use a certain source size. So here it is. 15 times the health ratio, or 17. What a strange number. Oh wait, okay, so 17, comma, and then the y is 15 times the health ratio. But the health ratio, at least to me, looks like it gets scaled pixel by pixel, whereas the mana, it looks like it just shrinks and grows constantly. I honestly thought they weren't scaling the same way. Oh, I see it, I see it. This is kind of complicated to explain. So, the way this works is the heart image, it starts full size. Draw everything when you have 100% health. Then, as you lose health, the position of the image gets drawn like lower and lower. But if you draw the image lower and lower, you also have to shrink the scale. So the scale at the end there is just constantly shrinking like this, but the position is being snapped because we use a floor call. So that's why there's no decimals. But if we look down here at the mana one, we just do a float cast. So there is no snapping. Like, this is literally per pixel. This is not. If I actually just adjust this to be a floor call instead of a float cast, we actually will get the same behavior. So I think that will fix it. I'm gonna go ahead and do a build and see if that fixes things. So we've made 3 changes. We're going to make sure all 3 changes have worked. To test the red flashing, we have to do 60... We have to damage the skeleton barbarian with its placeholder sprites until it has only 30% remaining health, and then it will auto hasten itself. For this should just... The map navigation should just work. We haven't really done anything there. And this we'll have to see. We'll just use a couple abilities and see how the mana icon looks now after that's fixed. And if all that's good, then we can commit everything and we can move on to the other issue and look at the analog controller stuff. We still got some time to investigate that today. And then if I get some time afterward, I want to go back to the demo build real quick, and I want to cherry pick... I guess I want to cherry pick this change too into it, because this is just a very general, like, hey, stuff has happened. There's some changes I want to put in the demo that I've made here. And the way I've been keeping up with that is by cherry picking very certain commits that are compatible with the demo into there. Okay, so... we have an error. Let's see. Starting the game with the default... Oh, okay. So the key got erased. I was hinting at this earlier. The key got messed with, so I need to put you all on a hidden screen real quick while I enter the secret key. Secrety secret. Okay, should be good now. And I just have to run the game again. I don't have to rebuild anything except that one file, which doesn't really take that much time, and then we should be good to run the game. Alright, so let's just make sure nothing's messed up about map navigation. Nothing should have changed. We don't have any weird going to stage 4 and going back to stage 1 things anymore, so that's good. We'll go into here and test both the mana icon and the hasten buff flashing real quick. La, la, la. Okay, I'll just... Okay. So we can see they did turn red. Unfortunately, I killed them too quick. I did not pay attention to the mana, so we'll check that again. Let me switch to controller. It'll be easier to control if I do it that way. Hello? Controller? You want to turn on? Okay. Okay. So we still have that bug where if I do analog stick up, it just skips straight to as high as it can go. So we still have to deal with that. But that's fine. Alright, so let's just do that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Oh, they just stay red. It doesn't even oscillate. Okay, so we can see the mana image is... It looks like the its position, so you can kind of see the positioning thing I was talking about earlier. It's definitely not doing what it's supposed to do though. Like if we see the health go up, you can see the image just fills up, but the mana image is sort of doing like one of these where it's shifting and then shifting and shifting. So I think I have some wrong numbers there, which is making it display funny. So let's take a look at the math real quick for this. We're doing 15 times the mana ratio here. And we look over here, it's... Oh, I see, we have a float here too. Okay. So that makes it be a decimal instead of snapping it to pixel integer values. So that will fix that. And then I think I will be happy with that. I don't know why these keep popping up. I need to figure out why... Like something runs and then these pop up. And it pops up multiple times, which makes it really annoying because I have to close these eventually, so I have to go. It's just like, where did these come from? What is it trying to do? Did I get a virus or something? You know, like, it really has me curious. What is going on? Alright, anyway. Do this one more time. Let's just go over here. Also, I kind of wanted these to be pulsating, so the mana icon is still doing that shifting. Oh, there it is again. See, it just pops up. Not the virus. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. It just happens sometimes. I can throw it on another window and just forget about it for a while. But eventually, yeah, it's very odd. Like, obviously, when your computer's not doing something you expect, that's a red flag, right? Sorry, I'm trying to put this in a spot where it won't annoy me. Okay. So yeah, the mana icon is not doing what I wanted to do, so something else is going on. Did we recompile? And I did put floor, so it's not... Oh, there it is. There's another one. There's the positioning, the source position on top of that. So we just have float casts basically everywhere. Okay, so I just missed another one. I missed one for the actual positioning on the screen, and I missed one for the positioning of where to draw it in the sprite itself. So there were three things to change, and I only got one, and then the other, and then the other. Can you use a different PC to check if it's hardware related? Well, it's not coming from my game. This actually pops up when I first start my computer, which is a very good sign. It's something that wants to start up right away, right? And constantly check. It very much sounds like a virus. A virus like. That's what a virus does, right? Or some kind of like malware or something. It wants to constantly try and run, and if it can't run, it tries again later. It could just be something trying to update as well. That's another possibility. So you can see the mana icon, it's still doing a little weird bounce. So you still gotta figure out that now. It does it for one frame. That's very interesting. No. This just pops up in general on my computer at random. Very much signs that something bad is happening, right? Right. Okay. So let's think about why this would happen. It's only at very specific values where it just suddenly goes like, and then it's just back up to what looks to be correct. Very interesting. Like it's saying it's failing to start something in command.exe. So it's trying to run some kind of batch file. I wonder if it'll tell me like the source of this batch file. Let's just have a peek, right? It couldn't hurt. So this window is open right now. I don't know what I would be looking for though. I guess I'm looking for command.exe. Because that would be what it's trying to run, in theory. Those are startup apps. So, like I was saying, it's probably one of these. Some of these are already disabled. Like there's a Discord update.exe, Spotify, which I probably don't need. I don't know what this is. Razer Synapse I really don't want, so I might get rid of that. Mobile devices by Windows, that's an interesting one. There's Java Update Scheduler, which I don't care about either. There's quite a few things that I can actually delete. Oh, Canva's on here for whatever reason. I didn't know I had the actual Canva app, but okay. And then we go here, you can look at cmd.exe, there's a couple, and apparently they're running. I don't know if I can really tell without, like, right? I would need to actually... Like, we can open this in a debugger and see what happens, just for fun. See if the program has any, like, recognizable debug symbols. We'd have to stop it, though. So I can just, like, hit pause here. And... we can just check. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be like some compiled code, so we're probably not gonna have anything useful to check here. But, I mean, I could kill it and stuff. Like, if I don't know what it is, it's probably safe to kill, right? Like, I could just literally do this. If I don't know what it is, why are you running? Right? Who knows? I didn't open those. I still have one issue where if I open the Windows settings thing, my PC lags. Yeah, I mean, computers do a lot of weird stuff, right? So, it's hard to really pinpoint exactly what causes some of these things until you really dig into it. Might do a system reset. Obviously, you lose a lot of time when you have to figure out this stuff, right? I wonder if the mana ratio is getting messed up. So, how should we debug this? I guess what we should do is every tick that the mana counter goes down, we pause. We want to first figure out at which frames this mana counter messes up at. If we can just set it to certain values and not have it tick, that would be great. I think that would be the first thing to do. So let's mess with that. You know what's funny? I'm thinking of using a cheat engine to do this because it would be very easy for me to go into cheat engine and say, hey, set my mana continuously to X value, right? Maybe I'll just do that. That would be the easiest way to do this. Because I could code it, but... yeah. We can see here, this has popped up again for whatever reason. So we'll do this real quick. Let's just go to a map with nothing in it. So I can debug my game using cheat engine, which is absolutely hilarious. I didn't think I was gonna end up doing this, but here we are. Okay, let's... aw, didn't mean to double press the escape. So interestingly, when I try opening cheat engine, this happens, so that's funny. It might be when I just try opening certain things in general. I also can't get it to... oh. Okay. It just opens in the background. So, 150? Hello? It died. It doesn't work. That's odd. Debug dance. That's a good song. Okay, well that doesn't work, so let's code this real quick. So the player's health, I think that's in player's update function, so we're gonna go there. The player's mana regenerates on a per tick basis. Let's look for anything related to mana. Mana tick timer. So if I comment this out, technically the mana tick timer will never go down, which means the mana should not regenerate. Now we have to make a way to set the mana. I do have an in-game debugging console, which I haven't really used in a while, but I know it's there, so we're gonna go to it, and we're gonna code a command to let us set the mana to whatever values we want. I think it's... Here we go. So admin console, on console command. So let's make a command that lets us set the mana. So we actually have a help file where we document any like custom commands we make, and we usually use this when we're testing like things really quickly. So where'd that file go? I swear I just said to open console commands.txt. Not whatever that was. Okay. So we're gonna make a /mana value command. Sets player's mana to val. Simple enough. And then in here, we're just gonna make another command. Call it /mana. We only need, or we require one argument, so args.size has to be equal to 1. And if args.size is equal to 1, we're going to set player's mana to that argument value. So we're going to do get player set mana heal mana. I mean, we could set the value directly, but I'm sure there it is. Restore mana. Well, we don't want to necessarily restore, right? How about update health and mana? It looks like you can do... Oh no, that's not what we want. I guess we're just going to set it directly then. Set it equal to whatever we type. So, convert it from a string to an int args0. Or args1? Args1. Because args0 is the command itself, I believe. Args0, yeah, args0 is the command itself. Args1 is the... So that means args.size has to be equal to 2. Yes, because we said less than 2 here. So it would have been 1, 2, and this one had at least 1, 2... Yeah, because that would mean this statement hits when it's 1 or 0. Okay, that makes sense. So this is set player's mana to whatever. And of course, I could also just look for the mana variable and mess with it in debug mode, but then I have to compile in debug mode again, so... This is probably a better option. It lets us mess with it more in the future as well. And we just do args1. I'm actually gonna print the mana here because the mana should have changed to reflect that. And that should be that. We're also not gonna do this, or we're going to say it's invalid, or it requires an argument. So we can say usage /mana val. Okay. I guess we could ignore the other arguments. We could say greater than or equal to 2. I think that makes sense. There we go. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and run that code. The player's mana should no longer go down or go up, and we can type in any values we want to see what the icon looks like, and then we can debug from there. Hopefully I don't have to actually go into debug mode, because if I do, I have to recompile the whole thing as a debug build. So hopefully we can figure it out just plugging in some numbers and seeing, right? So again, we can go back to render UI now and try to use this code to figure out what's going on. So let's do that. Okay. So should be able to use an ability here. We can see the mana goes down, but it doesn't restore anymore, which is what we expected. So right now the icon looks off. I'm just gonna do it one more time. And yeah, we can see it goes down, and then I would even argue that okay. Seems kind of random right now. There's no guaranteed, like, hey, it is shifted or it's not shifted, but it is going, it's either going here or it's going here. So it's one of those two. So my initial hunch is that because it's floored, there are certain values that make it, like, barely go down. Like, this might be floating point error. This could very well be floating point error. And maybe we don't notice it with health, but we definitely notice it for mana. Maybe that's just coincidental, like the way the numbers work out or something. It's very interesting. I almost want to... For a moment, let me entertain the idea of, is it possible the value here ends up being different from the value here? Like, let's think about that. What if the error from this value ends up being messed up compared to this value, and then when we floor it, we end up 1 pixel too low or too high? That's my theory. Now, can we consistently get it to display a certain way based on a certain number? So for example, 56, oops, we know 56 displays it this way. And we go to 57, it's displayed normal. If I go back to 56, will it do that again? Yes. So always certain numbers cause this. That's going to be helpful. So right here, I just paused it, and we're going to take a look. The mana ratio is this. So my question is, what does 1 minus mana ratio resolve to? 0.46. If we multiply that by 15, what do we get, right? Like, we can math this all out and see how the error skews everything. So before it gets floored, it's 27.0000. At least it says here it will evaluate to that. Does that mean it actually will? That's another question, right? I guess we'd have to really print it out to see what happens. And then we look here, 15 times 1 minus the mana ratio is 6.99952. So I'm starting to think that's the issue. And here, ooh, look at this. 15 times mana ratio is 8. Now the reason why this is concerning is because the position offset should be the exact amount we are sourcing. So if 15 times 1 minus the mana ratio, like let's say this actually, through float resolution, this ends up being 7.0, right? So 7.0, that's not 8, but this resolves to 8. So 1 minus mana ratio is messing it up by 1 in this case. Now let's look at another scenario. But if there is no flow resolution, maybe this actually goes down to 6. So I would have to see how these resolve. Maybe it'll tell me. Let's see if floor calls will tell me. Or if it's optimized out. Oh, you know what? The values in here might be populated. So source pause resolved to 6.0. Oh, so it did go from 6.9999952 to 6. Whereas this stayed at 8. Pause is at 27, so that's 20 plus 7, which is why it's 1 pixel lower. Because it originally started at 20, so if the size is 8, it's gone down 7, but then the scale is 8, so it's got 1 extra pixel there, which is why it's scaling. So the issue is this 1 minus mana ratio, and I bet it does happen with the health ratio, just in a different way. So the way we have to fix this is we need to at least get some consistency right after we do this 1 minus mana ratio. We either increase precision by using doubles, or maybe we floor it before we continue processing everything else. It's a ratio, so we could also, if it's a ratio, we basically want it to be between 1 and 100%, right? Like, we want it specifically to be an integer ratio. So maybe we'll do that first. Convert it to an int, and then we'll have no more scaling issues. Multiply by 100. And then do everything by 100, divide by 100 at the end. I think that results in less finicky values instead of this floating point mess. I like this. This is good. So, health ratio. Do the division. After the division, we're going to multiply by... Now this is interesting. I think display value is an int. Yes. So technically, if we did this... No, it would give us 0. We're always going to get a value between 0 and 1. So we multiply by 100 after we get a floating point value. And then we just let it get converted to an int. That technically does the flooring for us. It will be, I guess you could call it truncating, which is the same as flooring it. Like this. Then all future math we do regarding these, we'll be dealing with this integer value. So now we go down here and we say, okay, we're dealing with 100 instead of 0 to 1. So we're also going to have to change this one. So instead of 1 minus health ratio, we do 100 minus health ratio. And then we have to scale it. So is this where we do the division? Does it make sense to do the division here? Or will we end up with the same problem? I think it makes sense to do everything and then divide at the very end. The later we do the final float conversion, the more precise it'll be, right? Because it'll be exact pixel values here. It'll be int, int, int. Floor will evidently give us a float, but it'll give us a double coming out of it, and then we can divide by 100 at the very end. I think I like that. That should give us the most possible precision, or the least loss of precision is a better way to word it. I think that will work. Alright, does any place else use these values? I doubt it. I'm not getting any hits. I'm just looking at the little map here. No hits. Okay. So I think we've taken care of that. Let's build and see how that looks. What a What a strange little bug, huh? Oh, okay, we need to do some narrowing conversions, that's fine. I agree with that. Also, why is this PowerShell here? Double to T requires a narrowing conversion. Does it not think this is a double? Okay, I'm just going to add a period here that will imply it's now a double, and it won't do a conversion. Oh, actually we're converting them to floats, because of VF2D, so I do need to actually specify they are floats. I might have to actually cast. Let me see. I'm a strange little bug. You sure are. Okay. So yeah. We're gonna have to tell it we're going to floats. I don't want to really provide double vectors. It's not really necessary when we're fine with floats. So now I have to cast all these to floats. Is the floor redundant now? The floor is redundant. So we can get rid of that. Does that mean I need to do... If I get rid of the floor, I don't need to do a cast. Okay, so get rid of the floor, because the floor is turning them into doubles. Okay, yeah. I get it now. That's not gonna work. All right. Did I get rid of the divide by 100? I did. We need the divide by 100. Oops. And that will be a float conversion. It should happen at the very end because division and multiplication both resolve left to right. At least that's what I remember. Okay. Multiplication, division, both are precedence 5. And their associativity is left to right. So that is correct. Alright, so we still don't regenerate mana. So we can see that's correct. Let's go straight to... Well, I just want to see first. Yeah, you can see it's like very clean now. Like a lot cleaner. Okay, let's try this. Slash mana 56. That looks really good. This looks a lot more like I intended. Okay, beautiful. That's much cleaner. Now it doesn't snap, which frankly I could do, like the health snaps. I'm not sure why the health snaps. I think the health snapping was actually a mistake. Let's get hit by a monster real quick. I bet the health now goes up and down very smoothly. Yes, it does. Now, do I like that? I think I like that. I think that's perfectly fine. I don't see a reason to have the, like, little bits. I think it was okay, or it's okay like that. I think aesthetically, it is pleasing. So I do like that. Very good. So those are the fixes I had to make. I'm just gonna write those real quick. They were... Oh, so for hasted enemies, I also have to get rid of the mana regen not working now. And before I commit this, I want to make sure I didn't break anything by running my unit tests. So we haven't done that in a minute, so I'm going to let that run while I take a quick bathroom break. I don't think we'll have time to do much else, but let me at least get cleaned up here for the day. And then we can call it. Yeah, this PowerShell doesn't need to be here. Test Explorer. Let's get our build done and run every single test and make sure the game is still running as expected. I'll be right back. All right. So build succeeded. I think it's running the tests now. Oh, what happened? Unhandled exceptions. Okay, that's not good. Let me open the log. Where did it open? Or it didn't? Debug.log. Oh, this is what the developer PowerShell is for. Come back. No, not the command window, the PowerShell. Okay. We can do read debug log. If I can find it. If not, I'll just type it. Yeah. Read debug log. Okay. Oh, that's not it though. That is the debug log for when actually running the game, not the debug log for unit testing. You missed using small emotes. Very fair, very fair. Okay, this debug log, oh, it's got nothing in it. Great. Yeah, this is interesting. There's quite a few tests failing. I wonder what's happening. Something's definitely happening. I'm trying to think what could have possibly changed. Oh, if we're testing or if we're not in testing mode. Some of these run strategies now mess it up. Or a lot do. But why? What is the common denominator here that says this is now messed up, right? If run strategy messes with all these tests, something must be happening. So I guess we're about to find out. Do I want to stop it or let it finish? I kind of want to just stop it, and then we run a fresh test once I figure out what's going on. Okay. So... Oh, I see what's happening. When we make up monsters with test name, we don't have a strategy for them that actually works. So we were just making up a strategy, and then before the band-aid fix was to completely ignore the whole running the strategy. That's why we did that. But in reality, what we need to do... okay, let me go in and edit this. This is actually very important. Because we have to... once we fix this, every test name monster will now have a proper strategy. So we go to test name. Okay, it doesn't exist. Did I do something wrong? It's not an NPC. Oh, it might be under... What's it called? Because this is copied over, so it's not from here. There's an additional unit testing config that it reads. I'm trying to remember what that was. I guess we could find out by going to adventures and... Oh, actually. Initialize game configurations. There should be something specifically for test purposes in here. Or we made it up. Hold on, did we just make it up? Yes, we did. Okay. So, do we specify a strategy for it? If so, how? Display name, strategy, by default is run towards. That should work then. But there's no test monster, so it probably can't reference anything because the monster data doesn't actually validate properly somehow. Okay, that might be a problem. I think I'm starting to see where this is getting at. We just have to figure out what in this is actually messing with it. Because get strategy... Oh, it's from strategy data. So we have to populate strategy data when we do this. I think... No, because the strategy is move towards. Time to debug. That's enough guessing. Alright. Unfortunately, it's not quite clear why that's breaking. But we're about to find out when it does break. Alright, so let's go here. We'll breakpoint that. And we'll run it again. Also, we can dock the PowerShell. Okay. Strategy, run towards. Do we just not initialize them? Ah, we don't initialize them. That's why. Why don't we initialize them? Probably because we didn't care or needed them before. So, set up test monster. I think we just do initialize strategies. Monster strategy. Well, let's see. How do we normally initialize them is the next question. Because it works fine in, like, player tests, I think. Maybe? Maybe not. So we're looking for anything related to strategy. We can look in monster strategy helpers. We can look in run strategy, which... Here we go. Initialize strategies. Why do we not just do this? Very simple. Easy enough to do, right? And they would be in there. Let's try it out. Why doesn't every test fail? It's because some particular tests don't even use monsters. So anything that requires monsters now requires initializing strategies. So we have to do this now, if we want the strategies to exist in the game. Then we can go... Let's see, monster tests I think definitely will need it as well. We will go ahead and add that. You can see here we actually already do that. Okay. That's good. So let's run all tests again. Luckily, we didn't break any tests in the sense of we actually broke the game. We just broke the tests in the sense of we weren't loading more data that we actually need now. So, bit of a difference there. Luckily, it's a very minor one. Unfortunately, we have to wait for the testing suite to decide when it wants to let us run the tests again. I don't know why it does this, but when you stop them, it takes quite a while. I think it has to do with getting rid of assets. Like, we have a lot of allocated static assets, and if they don't get properly cleaned up, they kind of just linger. And I think this is the lingering part where it's like, okay, everything has to like time out now because the program or the data technically hasn't gone away, so it probably doesn't know what to do. That's my guess, and why it might take so long. Alright, so let's run all tests once again. Make sure we haven't broken anything. That's also why we do have tests, because we will know right away if we've broken something. Unfortunately, the tests have to be maintained, and if we change what goes on with the tests, then of course the tests themselves could break if we're not careful. But it's good to know that that change actually had side effects on the tests themselves. So what we did was, in where we saw the strategy call for monsters in here, I think it was. Well, it was somewhere, but basically the loop where monsters get updated, we basically said, hey, we don't care if you're in testing mode now, you're going to load all this. So, or you're going to run your strategy. That makes the tests more accurate, but it also causes us to have to make sure that we actually initialize them now, so the strategies actually run proper. With all these tests returning positive, we can call it good for today. And we made a decent amount of changes, not the changes I necessarily wanted to. I really wanted to work on the controller bug fix. We'll definitely tackle that tomorrow, now that we've addressed some miscellaneous concerns. It was just when I was looking back at the stream the other day, I realized, oh, I didn't do some of the things I said I was gonna do. And when I realized that, I'm like, ah, now I gotta actually do them. So, yeah. Now we are actually doing them. Epic gaming. Isn't programming fun? God, I love programming. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. You never know what you're gonna work on a certain day. You never know what problems you're gonna run into. The problems themselves can be exciting to solve. Surely I program soon too. Is there something you need to program for? Like, aren't you working on something computer related? I think most computer courses make you take like at least an intro to programming, right? Any kind of like computer related degree nowadays. Oh, thank you, Plasticky. So smart. So pretty. Thank you. Small Python section. Yeah, it's expected, I think, for a lot of folks to at least do a little bit of programming. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Text files in Linux, like outputting files, messing with commands and making them output a certain way, those kinds of things. Most basics of things. That's very fair. Just the other day, I wanted to know what day I was on. Like, I wanted to know what day of development I was on, right? So I'm like, how would I get that information? Well, because I use Git, every time I commit in Git, that was a day of work. I always commit my code every day, right? That's important. So what I realized was, okay, well, if I could print out all the commits by date, I would be able to know how many days of I've been working on this project, right? So there is a command for that. It looks like this. And when you run it, it literally tells you every single day that there's a commit. And this goes on. So this is every day there's a commit and the date it was, or every commit with the timestamp. So you can see there's multiples here. So one of the things you can do in Linux is you can get rid of any unique values. So you just pipe it, right? Oops, I wasn't done, but I can type on the next line. Unique-C, that's case sensitive. And now we get all these sorted by unique values and their counts. And yeah, you can see how many, or you can see now each date, how many times you've been counted, or how many times that line appears. So finally, if we want to know the total, we just say, okay, give me the line count of the output of this command. Boom. We've been working on the game for 439 days. There are 439 unique days in here. I think I typoed my stream title because it says 430, but it's clearly 440. Yeah, so this is just like Linux commands. That's what you can do with them, right? That's probably what you're working on. You're just outputting random data in different formats, organizing them in certain ways, using all the inbuilt commands. Like, that is the power of Linux, though. It lets you do things like this pretty easily. It's fun. It's fun to learn. I think it's fun to learn. I think it's fascinating. And the best part about computer programming in general, or using computers like this, is you can make computers do whatever you want. I think it's very cool that you can be like, hey, I'm going to make the computer do something I want. Computers can be more than just used for media or games, right? You can actually manipulate them. More interesting than whatever I had to do with Active Directory. Oh no, not Active Directory. They tie you like user admin management. Gross. You have to like manage permissions, create groups. God. Yeah, you do. Anything related to IT, you definitely need to know the basics. You need... College is basically like, hey, here's a whole bunch of like things. It's very broad, right? Reaches out to a bunch of different things. You need to know this, you need to know this, you need to know this. Does it go in depth? Not really, but you need to at least be aware they exist. And if you want to explore more, you take a more advanced course, or you just go and get it yourself and explore, right? The in-depth part is supposed to be the final part. Right now it's just the basics. Yeah. When you take more advanced courses, of course. Yeah. That's how the curriculums are typically designed. Yeah. I'm glad you're getting exposure to this stuff, though. I was super excited when you were working on the networking stuff, because in my prior job, I was doing a lot of that, right? I had routers, I had switches, I got to do cables. That was a lot of fun. And obviously you learn all the networking terms. The routing section helped you set up a Factorio server. It did. It tell you what ports were and IP addresses and firewalls, right? All that good stuff. That's awesome. It's fun when you can use what you learned in real-world practical applications or for your own personal use. And that's pretty much where my hobby kind of grew. It was like I had a passion for trying to make games, and I wanted to learn how to make games. So naturally, I had to learn how to program. And because I learned how to program, I started adventuring into other computer-related fields: server management, website development, server adminship, messing with like hardware, even my SMX pads, going into them, like you mess with the electronics with them. I even wrote an API that lets me turn on and off lights at specific intervals using the OLC Pixel game engine, which is what powers my game too. So like, you can use what you learn to accomplish a lot. It's a very practical thing to learn. Alright, so all tests have passed. That's 230 unit tests. Done. Let's do a quick write-up of everything we've changed, and we'll be good to go. So here's our to-do, the things we have modified. I will admit, though, the hasten buff pulsing is not correct. So maybe I'll fix that really quick. We still have time. Yeah, a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and look at that real quick. Back to the update or not the update function, but the draw function for monsters. So what did we do wrong? We probably didn't multiply by like a time variable. Yeah, look at this. We were just making it glow like one specific color. Do we want that? I kind of wanted it to pulsate. I think that would be more fun. So to make it pulsate, instead of doing... Wait, isn't this what it does? Hold on. Yeah, this is what it does. Lerp cut amount. Oh, I'm supposed to specify that, aren't I? No, the default is 0.5. Blend color, oscillation time in seconds. We did 0.4. That should have made it every 0.4 seconds it pulsates. In theory. But the lerp cut amount is 0.5. I can see that, and I see it's affecting this in some way. So that's fascinating. The lerp cut amount is how much to divide the initial color by, which is used as the lerp oscillation amount. 0.5 means half the color is always active, and the other half linearly oscillates. 0.1 would mean 90% of the color is normal, 10% of the color oscillates. So if I want 100% of the color to oscillate, I need to do 1. So 0.5 might just not be giving the subtle or the more expressive effect I'm looking for, and it's giving me a very muted version of that. Also, the time of 0.4 seconds might actually be wrong. It's entirely possible that's the case, but let's see what happens. So now I'm going to run the game again. Let me get out of unit testing. I wanted to check again how much a static IP costs, but the ISP webpage for it isn't working. It was around $10 for a static IP. Ah, I see. I'm surprised your router doesn't have like a way to forward just like a range and say, hey, anything from this range, you know, gets counted as going to this, to your public IP, right? Like, I'm surprised that's not a thing, but, you know. Yeah, it's not oscillating, which is really strange. Is it because it's just the value I chose? Like, should I try 1 second or something? It's kind of weird that it doesn't oscillate. It's supposed to oscillate. I would hope it oscillates. Maybe I just implemented it wrong? It works for the player. I know the player has oscillating color. I'm currently mostly single player gaming, so it wasn't really worth it. Fair. Very fair. Okay. Oops. Let's see. Okay. Well, now it's just black. So there's clearly like a... It clearly affects what happens here. I'm starting to think this doesn't do what I think it does. Or maybe it's inverted or something. So let's try this. I want to see what happens when we do it like this. But we might have to play with them more next time. Okay. Oops. That's still not right. Like, I don't know why the oscillation just isn't working. I must have messed something up. I guess we'll have to debug it then. That's for next time. Apparently it's bugged. Maybe I just haven't noticed. I feel like monsters have been using this though, and there hasn't been problems with it. So for it to suddenly be affected like this is concerning. Oh, it's because the duration is infinite. Oh, okay. This doesn't work for infinite buffs because it uses the duration to determine how to oscillate. So if the duration is infinite, it needs to use some internal timer. I kind of don't like that, but I also understand why. It's to provide variation when multiple things get hit at different times, so you end up with different colors of pulsating instead of them all pulsating in the same color. But for something like this, we need to use like the monster lifetime or something. Or just like when it gets the buff occurs, so like the buff duration time. So maybe that's what we need to do. We need to add like a buff total duration time, how long the buff itself has been active, minus just... Why does that keep happening? I keep typing like a certain thing to be opened and it doesn't open. I hope this isn't a new bug with the new Visual Studio, because that'd be really annoying. So we have duration, which is how long it's supposed to last. Let's add a lifetime variable. This is how long the buff's been active. Wait, isn't that it right there? Lifetime. Wait, it's literally right there. I made this before. So we do know how long the buff's been alive. I just have to see if lifetime increments like I'm expecting it to. So we're looking at the buff tick. I assume somewhere we increment lifetimes of every buff. Let's go look at monster real quick. Let's go to update. And we're looking for a buff update. Some kind of buff update. Here we go. For each buff list, b.update. Update. Yeah, lifetime goes up. So we can use the lifetime to determine how long the buff's been active, which we can use as the color cycling when the buff gets applied, instead of what we've been doing, which is using the buff duration. And then we'll get the pulsating we are actually looking for, regardless if we have an infinite buff or a temporary one. So that's where the bug lies. It's because we're using the duration as opposed to the lifetime. And if the lifetime's infinite, this value never goes down. So, or the duration never goes down, which means the sine wave oscillation effect never occurs. Let's see if the color pulsates now. If so, that is a bug fix of basically an oversight. I wonder if the player has this issue too, because I probably have very similar code for the player when it comes to coloring the player. So let's go to the draw function for the player. It might be render, not draw. Render? No. It is draw. No, it's not even here. It's probably under, like, render player in Adventures in Lestoria. Render player? No. How about, like, draw player? Okay, anything related to player. Get player, initialize player, reset player, display boss and counter info. How do we render the player? Do we have any draw functions? That's for item overlay. Do we have any render functions? It looks like we have some render related things. How do we draw the player? Well, it has to be somewhere, right? So let's try render. Let's just try render world, right? Because if we render the world, surely the player gets drawn somewhere in here. Oh, it's a lambda. So here's render player. Here are buffs. Here's the color. Aha, so I do duration here too. So if it was an infinite buff, which I don't think we really typically get, I'm gonna change those also to use lifetime instead. Cool. All right, so we should have proper oscillating buff now. Yay, look, it's actually pulsating. Cool. So fix to that bug. Cool. All right. That took a little bit, but we got there. Putting that in there. So I need to look at that. Then the to-do is over there. So we're just cleaning up. Fixed oscillating buffs, buff colors. Or buffs that have infinite durations. Infinite duration. Added hasten buff. Oscillating color visual. I only added it to monsters. Let me add it to the player real quick too. Might as well. I kind of want the same result. So hasten buff. Because if the player gets it, which there's no way for the player to get it right now, but if they did, then I would want that to occur as well. And then we can say hasten buff. Again, I think I want debuffs to appear over buffs. Although I have buffs appearing on top of debuffs in this situation, which is funny, so I don't know. We'll leave it like this for now and decide what overrides what in the future. Right now, nothing really conflicts with each other, so it's fine. And we want it to be red, 128. Oscillating through the whole color spectrum. Interestingly enough, I use get runtime for this instead of the lifetime, which makes sense. I agree with that. These want to be zeros, and instead of 2 times, I want it to be 0.4. So it's a pretty fast oscillation, just like the monsters. And the oscillation is for actually the other half. No, it's for the whole thing. So it's going to be up to 128 for the oscillation there. These two are zeros, so they won't oscillate at all. We should be good. Cool. So that's for the player. I'm just going to rebuild that real quick. And we build 12, 3, 13. Yeah, no, actually, it's still 312. Okay. Added hasten buff, oscillating color visual. Where's the to-do list? There it is. Mana and health icons have proper integer snapping. And before I commit this, I'm going to update the to-do. The next time we work on this, we wanted to cherry pick. God. Cherry pick. So it's going to be this commit here. Whatever it ends up being. Actually, I'll commit it now. This is release build. 12313. Okay. Cool. Save. So yeah. I want the ID. Wish I could just copy that real quick. I guess I can copy it from the website. Here it is. Here we go. Okay. So we're gonna say cherry pick this commit from bugfixes and cherry pick this one from connection point fixes. Cherry pick from connection point fixes. Into demo. Or I'll say for demo. Branch. We have to do that next time. That way the demo gets like any modern changes that don't actually affect, that aren't like brand new features for the game. So we do have to fix that. Cool. And with that, we are done for now. Great. Did quite a bit today. Yay! But not the bug fix we intended to do, so that's for next time. For those of you that tuned in today, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And we'll see you next time. Bye.